Hello there, it's Psychic Cynthia here, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Killian, and welcome. Welcome to my fellow spiritual psychic travelers along the path. And I'm making this video today to talk with some of you about your spiritual practice, let me be more specific. Those of you who have a spiritual, psychic, or holistic business. In other words, you have your own full-time or part-time gig. You're trying to offer your services to the world. You're doing that, or maybe you're wanting to get started doing that. And so you're wanting to build and grow a light-based business, a spiritual, holistic, or psychic-based business. And so this is for you. If you're doing that now, or if you're even thinking about doing that, I thought I would share some tips with you because I have noticed lately in my own inner circle of clients and social media friends that many of you are making that transition towards offering your gifts in a more structured way, in a more business type way. So I thought I'd share some with you about some ideas and tips just real quickly on, attracting clients and building your practice, your business. And this is a huge, vast subject, so please know this is going to be a little bit. But let's start with where do you start at? Because there's a big difference between doing something for a hobby and then trying to do it for a business, even if you're just trying to do it part-time as a little side income. And maybe that is a good place to start in your mind, to understand that doing something for a business is different than a hobby. Although I do know some people who take their spiritual hobbies very seriously. But I think there are two main differences. I mean, I'd have to think about it some more. There's probably way more than this, but just off the top of my head, I mean, first of all, when you're doing something for a business, even if it's just part-time, business implies that there will be an exchange of currency, of money usually, or crypto coin or whatever you're into for your money. Okay. So, that's one of the main things that separates, somebody that does something for a hobby. Like I like to play handpan drum for a hobby. Currently, I don't do that for my money. Okay. I mean, I don't know, maybe, who knows what could happen in the future, but, yeah, you probably have some things you do for a hobby or one thing, maybe you enjoy gardening or doing painting or working on motorcycles or whatever, but you don't necessarily do those things for a business. You don't necessarily do those things for an energy exchange with other people. So I think it's important to keep that in the forefront, and that may sound small, but, if you're on the spiritual path, in the spiritual field, I think you understand that consciousness is very important. So making that understanding in your consciousness that a business has a different energy than a hobby, that's very important. And then, with a business, because you are looking, to have an exchange of energy, it's not something you're doing just for fun anymore. It's something you do for other people. And this may sound obvious, but I see often when spiritual-based people, try to make that transition into some kind of business, they forget this part. Because the moment you try to convert something you're doing into a business, it becomes a lot less about you. It's not just about you having fun anymore, okay? It can still be about you enjoying yourself, but I think really my experience for my own self, and also just witnessing with clients who have successfully made the transition, into spiritual-based businesses, what happens is you move from doing something for just fun into doing it for purpose. Does that make sense? And not that, again, people that have hobbies can have a sense of purpose with it, but it becomes an even deeper drive of purpose. For some, it becomes an ambition, I guess, but I prefer to think of it as purpose. And then with purpose, that implies service to others, a service attitude. So then Like for example, if you're doing some form of reading, let's say you're a psychic reader, or a rune reader, or a tarot reader, or an astrologer, and you have your way that you like to do it and your things you like to talk about and do. But when you convert this into a business, a paying business, right, even if it's just part-time, you have to humble yourself and begin to not just think about, but sense and feel where the people you're serving, what is it that they need from you in this realm? Actually, what is it that they want? Not just need, but what is it that they want? And, what do they need to get out of your business? Not just, again, you're not just doing it for yourself. Even if your primary motivation was to make money, which I doubt it is if you're spiritual based, but let's just say it was. Even if that was your primary motivation, you will still need to meet people where they're at in the spirit of service and begin to think about how, what you offer can meet their needs, and maybe even how it can be evolved and tweaked and transformed to better meet the needs of the people you're going to serve. So just that alone right there, if you stop and think about what I've said on this, it could be a major paradigm shift for some of you, because I think that, one of the traps that we can fall into, and I fell into this many years ago when I started my spiritual-based business, my psychic business and astrological business. That would have been some time ago, too. I don't want to date myself, but let's say it's more than a couple decades. Okay. I remember being so excited about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, okay? And, what I found is my clients wanted certain things differently than what I thought I was going to be doing. For example, one of my main passions at the time when I first started out, it still is helping people to spiritually awaken. And at the time, I wanted them to understand how these astrological transits could activate major awakenings. And I also wanted them to I wanted to open people to communication with the fairies, which I'm still into that. Anyway, what I found out in short order, at least at that time, was that most of the people who came to me were a little bit interested in those things, but they were more interested, say, in me helping them with their relationship issues or helping them with their educational or career issues. That's just an example, and it may not be the same for you, but I learned then to take, all of this and meet them where they're at, okay? I also learned through many years of experience that my newsletter readers, for example, were interested in knowing about how and when these moon shifts will affect their emotions and their energies and the flow of things, So I learned that through experience, and that's how you're going to learn too, by the way, is by jumping in and trying things. I think that's really important too. Sometimes when we're new, we worry too much about doing it right or wrong. I think the important thing is to try new things, okay? But also to do it in a spirit of service. What I think I'm really talking about here, there's different ways of building a business and attracting clients, and you can do it the Yang way, which works for some people. The Yang way is to be active and assertive and do what you want only, and basically try to persuade others to come around to what you're offering, because they'll think it's so great, right? And they'll all want to do it. Or the Yin way is to meet people where they're at, to listen, to lean into the people around you in your tribe, and really feel intuit what their needs and wants are, and how what you can do can meet up with that. And you may find because of that you'll be focusing on other things. Now, this is especially true when you're first starting out. And what do I mean by first starting out? Do I mean first month, first day? Really, I mean at least the first 3 years. Because until you've developed a following, a bigger tribe of people that believe in you, and that's going to take a little bit of time. You can put no hard, fast rules on it. It's different for each person. It depends on how much time you have to spend on it. Depends on where you live at, I think, to some extent. Because if you live in a more populous area where you can meet more people and they can spread the word about you more, that is great. I didn't have that luxury, okay? I did not. So it took me a little longer. But it can be done, I think, wherever you live, or in most cases, wherever you live. But there's different factors, is what I'm saying. But in all cases, it takes time. It takes time because what I'm essentially talking about is building relationships with your tribe, with your people, with your clients, with your customers, your readers, whatever you want to call it, okay? It depends on what you're doing and what you're offering. But it does take time to build quality relationships, so do keep that in mind. And that's what we do with the Yin style marketing. We build relationships with people over time. And how might you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, I think you can do that by, it's all involves generosity of some kind, okay? So sharing information through videos, through newsletters, through free talks, whether those are online or in person or however you work. Connecting up with people. Some people like to give away free sessions in the beginning. I honestly didn't do a whole lot of that. I didn't have to do that. But I did, have some very inexpensive priced offerings. And maybe that's something you can do if you're just getting started. I mean, at one point in time, many, many years ago, I think, if I remember right, when I worked at this bookstore, I mean, I had my regular readings I would do. I think I even had a little 5-minute offering for like $5 or $10. So, and that worked in that type of environment. I mean, people were just walking in. I don't know if you could do that where you're doing it. And I don't know that you should, okay? I mean, I think you might want to raise it a little bit more in today's world. But then again, if you don't need a lot of extra money, if you're playing the long game, I think it's wonderful to be gracious, in your entry-level pricing. And especially if you're just getting started out and you're still learning your craft and you're still perfecting your art, then yes, maybe you might offer some very inexpensive, intro sessions or even free, depending. I personally think that when you can, offering free education is the best, even if it's just in a little video like this. Because I think that's very empowering to people, and you can also serve more than one person usually at a time, although it could be one-on-one. It could be, some type of one-on-one thing, but, if a person wants you to be their healer, their teacher, or their coach, and if you do charge fees for that, then it would be, I think, conducive to their growth to pay that fee. Did you hear what I said? Conducive to their growth. But every circumstance is different. Every person is different. So you have to think about that. And of course, sometimes we feel called to give things away, and you should do that. Okay. Again, these are guidelines, but you have to find your own way. So those are some thoughts on it. And I have a lot more thoughts that I might share on this, and I might even put together a little micro class, maybe just for people in my inner circle who want this, or maybe more, I don't know. But think about, just begin to think about your business as a business, but then also think about how you can reach out to others in that spirit of generosity by giving something away, some form of information or a small taste of what you do. And also think about listening and meeting your clients where they're at, or your customers. For example, if you notice that a lot of the people in your circle that you're starting with have relationship issues, is there something that you can do to help with that? I don't mean that you're a relationship coach either. I mean, it could be something like, you're a rune teacher and you're going to teach on how the runes can help bring clarity in relationships and healing. I mean, I should write that down. I'm a rune teacher. But hey, listen, if you're a rune teacher, you can do it too, right? Because that's the other thing. We don't have to worry about competing with each other because each of us is a unique individual. So even if we were to teach the same topic, like teach on the same topic, we're all going to do it different. Or, if you have a friend who's a Reiki master, but you're a Reiki master, I mean, there's room enough for us all, okay? So, because as long as you're being your unique self and then also leaning into the people in your circle, your tribe, listening and meeting them where they're at, you're going to create something new and extraordinary, something that hasn't existed before. And that's where your success is going to be in your practice, in your business. The convergence of that, being yourself, but also leaning into what the needs and desires are of your people. And that part is very important. And, as I'm ending here, I just want to say, don't ever think you're too good to meet your people where they're at. No matter how much experience you have, um, if the people in your tribe need something from you, even if you think it's very basic, I think a good teacher, a good leader, at least, I don't know, I think to be a good leader is a worthwhile goal, not just a business person. If you are a good leader for your flock, so to speak, for your circle, you won't be too proud to meet them where they're at. Like I'm happy to do this little very introductory video about starting your spiritual business and growing it. I'm happy to do that for you, even though I don't need these concepts. And that's the thing, your clients aren't paying you for what you need, okay? They're paying you for what they need. That right there is something to meditate upon. Okay, until next time, I'm sending you many bright blessings and wishing you much prosperity and joy in your spiritual, psychic, or light-based business.